So make sure, especially for our 4-H clubs, make sure your child has been registered through 4-H Connect. I know the due date will be coming up on October 31st, so make sure that they are registered. With FFA, of course, the student must be enrolled in school. Okay, so just keep that in mind. All the FFA and 4-H exhibitors must be in the 3rd grade or 9 years of age in order to compete for the horticulture division. The wallflower category will be different, and we'll go over that as well. But just make sure your child is either in the 3rd grade and or 9 years of age, okay? And then all plants entered in the horticulture division must be in the possession of the exhibitor by December the 1st of this year. December the 1st. So start looking around. I know the greenery is changing. There's some seasonal plants coming in. I like to go through, I like to jump from the garden area at Home Depot, Lowe's. Each one will be different, your local gardens. Also, your local flea markets. Some will have some good plants. Just keep in mind when you do purchase from a local smaller business, inspect it. Make sure there's no bugs, the leaves, just, keep that in mind, okay? Be very cautious. And so your plant must be in the child's possession by December the 1st, okay? And make sure that it has, make sure the plant has to be rooted and seeded before the previous year's livestock show. So just make sure December 1st, keep that date in mind. And the exhibitor will only enter one entry online, and the project will be classified upon delivery. So your child is not limited to just one plant. Your child, can decide, what, I want to experiment with 3 plants, 4 plants, it just all depends. And what your child will do is, they will raise those babies, like Ms. Vilma said. And then come showtime, your child will decide which plant looks the best. Okay, and unfortunately, living in South Texas, the weather. I've been doing the rain dance for the past couple of weeks, hoping for some rain, and I think I got maybe about 2 inches worth in a bucket of rainwater. Okay, so the Mother Nature just plays havoc on these plants. It's hot, cold, dry. So yeah, I would totally recommend y'all experiment. At least with 2 for beginners. 2 plants. And then so each entry will consist of the following. And all these forms will be on the website once everything is updated. What I recommend y'all do, when you purchase your plant, whether, let's say you go to Home Depot nursery and you get in its natural habitat, okay? What you're going to do, you're going to take a picture. That's the original picture. I recommend you do 2 prints. 3. If you're like me, we always end up misplacing. The first print, this is what's called your horticulture entry worksheet. And this will be part of the exhibitor forms as well. You're going to put your original picture here, okay? And the reason why I say 2 copies, because your original picture is going to go on the worksheet. The second print is going to go on your actual worksheet. And this is the record book. This is a record book that your child will turn in, submit, come showtime. So when they bring the plant, they're going to have a record book. And the first picture is going to be there. So it's like telling a story. Once upon a time, there was this little plant that I found at the nursery. Okay? So you will start off with the first picture, 1 print, second print. Whether it's in that habitat or let's say, I say pluck it off a relative's garden, okay? However it looks in its natural habitat, that's the actual picture that you're going to take. Because come showtime, when you bring in your plant, we have to compare those pictures, and those pictures have to be identical. Okay, please keep that in mind. Pictures have to be identical. So make sure you minimum 2 prints. Possibly 3, just in case you misplace. Vilma. Laura, I'm sorry. The prints, are we gonna have to do digital? Is that gonna be Vilma? Sorry. The pictures, are they gonna have to be digital prints? 4x6?
Okay, so one major change for this 25-26 show date or year is your pictures will be submitted digitally. Okay, so they must be, I guess we'll get them in color. Now, it's the first time we do this, but this is part of keeping your entries validated. What do we mean by that, validated? We're keeping everybody honest that you did purchase your plants after last year's show date, okay? And that it was the same plant that you purchased, you might have purchased it this summer, and it's the same plant this summer that you are exhibiting at the time of the show.
Just for clarification, once the forms are ready on the website, you'll be able to click on the RGVLS, go into your premium book, and there you'll see all the forms that you're gonna need. So you're gonna need your entry worksheet. Pull it up, it's gonna be a PDF document. From there, you can fill out the information. Once you have your your picture, you're gonna just copy and paste the picture here digitally. When you're ready to turn in your forms, you're gonna print the form with the digital picture attached to it. The same for your workbook. So your record book will be the same thing. You pull it up digitally, it's gonna be a PDF. Drop your digital prints in here and then print it out. That way you don't have to go to Walgreens and get your copies of your pictures and put in here. We had a lot of issues last year, and I don't know if it happened to some of y'all, that pictures were coming off, or we had documents without pictures. This way we're not gonna have that issue, right? Because the picture is already printed on the document. So any questions on that? Yes, sir.
So by digital, do you mean that's what digital is, or digital meaning we're gonna have to upload it into the RGVLS website when we're registering?
No uploading it to the website. Everything, we still need the hard copy at the end, right? You're gonna turn your hard copy.
As always.
As always, yes.
But now
so
no
the only
pictures
digital part is gonna be the
It's
print, the
printed
picture
on it.
itself. So the picture is gonna be pasted into the document. You're gonna print out your document, and then that document is gonna be turned into your FFA or 4-H leader, and then the leader is gonna turn it into RGVLS. And so on the day of the show, we will still have paper copies, but the pictures will be digital in here. Any questions?
4x6.
4x6. Yeah, so just to make sure that they fit, once you pull up your document, you'll see that if the picture fits into the square.
One more point. All right, so you've turned in pictures in January, right? The first and the second. First picture should be the day you purchase your plants, like that one over there. You can put them all together. Or, say you didn't purchase. You can do something like this. You got it from your grandma's garden. I pulled it up last night from one of mine. Okay, so can you show this? Yes. So my first picture is going to be this one that I did purchase. This one that I also purchased. Plus this mother-in-law's tongue. So those 3 is my first picture. Okay, you show that you purchased them in small pots and that you cut a piece. Very important that you do this. That's picture number 1. Picture number 2 is once you put them in your pot, that's picture number 2. You've already planted them all together, and then that's what you're going to submit. Okay? Those 2 pictures should match the 2 pictures that you're going to have in your record book. Actually, you're going to have 3 pictures in your record book. All right? Just to keep everybody on the same page.
And so going back to the second picture has to be taken by January the 8th. Okay, so January the 8th.
Second picture, December what?
No, first picture, December.
First picture today, why? I guess it's wrong. That needs to be corrected. There's some issues.
We're gonna work through these glitches. But anyways, going back, so just remember the second picture must be taken, printed on the worksheet. These worksheet, and especially for my leaders, all the entry forms for Mercedes is usually done by mid-January. I have to bring in all my clubs, all paperwork for all entries. And the worksheet is what your member is going to have to turn into y'all, okay? So last year was like mid-January, like January 15th, 18th, that all leaders had to bring in all registration forms. Please, parents, make sure that your child has the worksheet attached, okay? With both pictures, very important. Both pictures, when you submit all your paperwork, entry fees, this has to go in the packet. Why? Because this worksheet is what is going to be given to us, and that's how we classify, put everyone into their respective clubs. And when y'all submit, when y'all come in, check in March, these two pictures have to be identical to what's on your regular book. Okay? So keep that in mind, especially for my, I know you're very good. But yeah, last year we did have some clubs, beautiful plans, beautiful, and never found worksheets. How do we validate that? Okay, so just kids, parents, leaders, please make sure when you submit all your club's information, make sure that record book is included. So going back to the plants. Your plants basically will be in its natural pot, no accessories, no accessories, no rocks, no colored rocks, nothing. It's just the soil and your plant. The only exception will be to the succulents and your terrariums, okay? And on the rules, it'll tell you exactly what you can and cannot add. And then, of course, all plants must be living. Okay, make sure you bring us some live plants. Prior to you checking in your plant, you can wipe it. You can wipe it clean, any dirt. Make sure you check for bugs, especially underneath. Your leaves, they do tend to hide, and especially when you check them in March, the temperature usually does get humid, and sometimes you'll find little critters underneath it. So just make sure you wipe your leaves very well. And make sure you water your plants prior to your entry. What I always like to do, I like to just give it a good soaking 2-3 days before, depending on the weather. That way, when you do check in that Friday right before judging, your plant will be nice and moist. The judge can, usually some judges tend to stick their finger and tend to see how well irrigated it is. No re-entry may be repotted within 60 days of the show. So just keep that in mind. Show check-in is going to be on March 11th. No, I'm sorry, Friday, March 13th. So just make sure 60 days before that you don't uproot your plant. Just go with it, okay? And then violation or failure to comply with any of these rules could cause your project to be sifted. So just keep that in mind. The rules do apply, just like with any other project here that your child may compete in. The rules stand. Okay. And then.
Check-in will be at 4 p.m. on Friday, March 13, 2026. So we'll be here waiting for you guys on Friday, March 13 from 4 to 8. And judging of horticulture series will be at 9 a.m. the next day on Saturday, the 14th. The champion will be at the champion drive will be at 1:30 that afternoon at the greenhouse. So all this is gonna happen at the greenhouse that Friday and Saturday. So we'll be there waiting for you guys. Yes.
So, just a question going back to the pictures being taken on picture 1 and picture 2. We're 75 days out. One of our plants, maybe we're doing succulents or something, one of our plants dies. Are we okay with pulling that one out, moving things around and filling that hole, using the remaining plants?
Moving the succulent out. If it dies, so they have a set of succulents, one dies, pull it out.
After December 1st, you cannot change your entry.
So,
If one dies in January, you cannot.
okay, so say we have a succulent pot with 15 plants in there. One of them dies. That leaves us a hole. Can we just move the remaining plants? This is more than 60 days out.
As long as we can identify that what you had was there originally and there's not a new one in there.
Great questions, guys. Entries will be classified upon arrival at the show. Horticulture chairperson will resolve any questions regarding classification of entries. So sometimes you classify your plant, but once they come in, we might reclassify them. So kind of keep an eye out for that, right? For those reclassifications, if you think, oh, I brought a specific plant and then it was put somewhere else, your participant will be showing in a different class. The horticulture entries that meet all the rules and regulations will be placed in one of the 10 divisions. So take a look at the divisions in your record book. Horticulture record book. Each exhibitor, excluding those participants in class 11, shall prepare a written record book of his or her entries to be submitted with the entries at the check-in time. So you gotta bring in your your record book. When you come with your plant, that plant needs to come with the book. And so we won't be able to take one without the other. So make sure that you bring it like this. We'll put it together for you. We'll put it in a Ziploc bag and have it ready. Yeah, you can get it on your own. You can check with your sponsor. So whoever your FFA or your 4-H teacher may be, but all these forms will be available under the RGVLS website under exhibitor forms. If you go into it right now, it's gonna say coming soon. So once all the documentation is finalized from the sponsor, then all those forms will be there ready for you guys to bring it up download it. The record book may be typed, printed, or neatly written by the exhibitor. Again, if you're gonna print out your pictures with your book and you wanna hand write it, that is up to you. But those pictures we're asking that you have them digitally printed. So she's asking if they can have a binder. We don't take binders. So what you bring is just your papers like this. We make sure that they're in order, that the pictures match what you submitted on the check-in form, and then we are gonna put it in a sleeve in a Ziploc bag so they won't get damaged or wet when you water your plant throughout the week. And so if you bring it with a binder, we're gonna give the binder back to you because all the forms need to be the same. It's gonna be uniformity with the submission of the paperwork. Your record book is used for validation and any information needed by the judge to break in a class side will be in that information. So if you have several plants that are pretty tight, that record book might be the tiebreaker, right? So you want to make sure that your student is putting as much information as possible. The first photo, we have some dates here. So some of these dates might need to be corrected, so just keep an eye for the finalized copy on the website. But what we have here at this point is going to be, first photo should be taken December 1st, second photo January 2nd, and the third photo to be taken at least 2 weeks prior to March event, so prior to the livestock show. The committee will review and validate or sift entries and corresponding pictures within a week after the January 15, 2026 deadline. All right, an entry identification card must be attached to each project at the check-in, and we'll give you all those items when you come in. All you need to bring is your plant and your record book with the pictures attached. Completed record book. Exhibitors must be present with their entry and the record book during the judging. So if your student, we have from 4 p.m. until 8. So the student needs to come in with the record book and their plan to bring in the check-in, their item. If any exhibitor cannot be present during this time, substitution rules will apply. Plants will be judged according to the ideal standard of the specific species, taking these things into consideration. So these are some of the things that the judges are looking at. The maturity of the plant, any new growth, symmetry, fullness, balance, insect damage. And when it comes to the insect damage or insects, we're gonna look at the plant, and if they have any insects, you might be sifted, right? It might be rejected. So make sure that all those things are checked before, the night before, the morning of, so that way you don't, your student doesn't take any chances. Diseases and the color of the leaf, the general appearance and size for the age of the plant, so that needs to be validated. The record book, that is in good standings and experience. All content must be prepared, if necessary, to answer questions from the judges about planting dates, watering, fertilizer, and any other care or management questions. So again, make sure that your student reviews the record book. If this is a family project, right, you have the parents helping out, that the student knows what's in that record book, because at the end of the day, your student, that's what I always tell the kids, who's gonna get that buckle at the end of the day, right? It's not gonna be your mom, it's not gonna be your teacher, it's you as the presenter, right? That you're gonna exhibitor is gonna get that buckle, so you need to make sure that you know what's in that record book. Exhibitors must be responsible for getting their plants from the greenhouse to judging area and back to the greenhouse if they have division winner. So on the day of, on Saturday, they're gonna have to be present to grab their plant, take it into the arena for judging, and then take it back into the arena.
Okay, so I just wanted to touch a bit on your, the record book, okay. My upperclassmen students, high school students, type it out, please. Okay, I've seen in the past where they just scribble, and everybody's penmanship is different. Okay, if you can type it out, that would be great. If it's easier for like the little ones, for the parents to help them, do little bold, statements. Watering, what type of fertilizer I used, and so forth. Keep it clean and simple. Okay. Another something else that I truly want to emphasize. We've had little ones with beautiful plants. I mean, just gorgeous. Judge comes up to them, starts asking them questions, and all of a sudden you see them like the parents like, how do I answer this one? Okay. So, and that is where you need to be careful. You need to make sure that the child is familiar with the plant, at least, its components. So just have your child be familiar with this plant, at least how it was taken care of and so forth, okay? And that's very important, but I really want to stress to especially my upperclassmen students, penmanship, okay? That's very important, because the judge wants to understand where your plant, how it originated, how you took care of it, and it needs to be clear and clean. Now, if you wish to enter more pictures, You know, you're telling a story. You know, your child is working very hard on this project. You can include that. You can include the extra pictures at the back of the worksheet, and that's going to be the whole storytelling. And perhaps, you know, your judge will continue asking questions, you know, and that's more points for that child, you know, and that's showmanship. You know, that's how the child gets to answer questions. You know, when the judge comes up to them, is discussing the plan, that is where your child learns how to communicate. Eye coordination, okay? And that's very important. And that's what we want our kids to understand, that when they bring out their plans, it's like going for a job interview. Okay, you're presenting your project, and you know your child needs to sell their project basically. Okay, so just keep that, you know, bear in mind. Keep it simple, nice, clean, but make sure your child understands what it is that they're showing. Any questions on the record book?